Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Trev and Lev Show right here on YouTube.com, where we talk SEC, Tennessee, and everything CFB. I'm Trev. That's Lev. And this video is an exciting one. Sponsored by our friends at Skylots, where they make premium, officially licensed collegiate sign LED signs. This is the power tee right here. Very grateful they sent us over this. It's very, very, very cool. It's actually pretty big too. I think it's a 2 feet by 2 feet or something like that. Pretty sick. But yeah, shout out to them. Go check them out. Link in description. Link in or comment down below. The ding dong, the wicked witch is dead, brother. Tim
About
Banks is out of here.
time. I mean, it's something we didn't think was going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was what we thought needed to happen, but we weren't
Yep.
sure if Heupel was going to do it. And he did.
Yeah. We
And I,
called for it on the pod, but we didn't think it was going to happen. We called for it to happen, but we didn't think it was going to.
yeah, and I think it says a lot about Heupel's growth. This is something I don't think he would have done a couple of years ago, but I think Heupel understood the gravity of the situation.
Yep.
I think something interesting about like I think they grew close, but going back to when Tim Banks was first hired at Tennessee, he was actually hired by Danny White. From what I've heard, what I've seen, it wasn't the whenever this staff was put together, the defensive side was put together really unorthodox in an unorthodox way. We actually, from what I've seen people talk about, we hired our other defensive coaches before we hired Banks. It was just such a weird way to put together a defensive staff, and I don't think it was a great way to do it. So I think whoever we do hire, it does suck that we'll probably lose a lot of our other defensive staff because I think there
Yeah.
are some good coaches on there. But I think whoever you bring in, you need to let them hire who they want to hire to support
Hmm.
them. And I mean, I hope Rodney Garner is a part of that because I think he's a really good asset to this team. But if this person, whoever comes in, is has a better defensive line uh, coach or somebody who they think fits better for their system, I mean, I think they should hire that person. But
Yeah. So I mean, like, we called for it to happen. We thought it should happen. Uh, I want to show off some stats here. You guys aren't going to be able to see this. Yeah, you guys are not going to be able to see this. I'm going to read off some stats here off of Twitter. This is scoring defense in the past 5 seasons for Tennessee's defense. These are very similar to total defense numbers, just FYI. Because I also saw total. I can't find the total defense numbers right now, but the points per game numbers are pretty close. So in 2021, we were 90th. This is remember this is like roughly I think 136 FBS teams. So we were 90th in points per game given up. In 2022, we were 37th. 2022, 2023, 22nd. 2024, 7th. 2025, 92nd. So you regressed all the way to ground zero. And was actually the worst defensive year statistically that we have had under Heupel. I think that's unacceptable. I think that's the last straw, because here's the thing: you set the standard last year. You set the standard last year, right? Seventh best defense as far as points per game given up, and I actually saw in total defense we were also seventh, is what I saw. Um, you can't set the standard and then drop 90 spots in those rankings. That's not going to cut it, and you're not going to be able to win games here with a 92nd overall ranked defense in the country. That's not going to happen. Like, that's not going to work. Even if we have the best offense of all time or whatever, and we didn't this season either. So it's not going to
well,
cut it. I
but
think that was the
a
final straw.
competent defense puts this team probably at 10-2 at least.
We saw that in 2020, obviously 2024. We saw that in 2023. I would argue with the 10-win season, including the bowl game. That was a decent defense, and that was a you had a terrible you had Joe Melton playing quarterback for
Well,
you.
we didn't win 10 games that
We
year.
didn't win 10 games.
No,
I
we only
thought we
won
went
eight.
9-3. Okay,
Well, we
we
went
went nine
nine
and
and
four.
four with a bowl
I
win.
thought we won 10 because we beat Clemson, but
No, that was year. That was 2022.
okay.
We we won 11
Okay,
games 2022. We beat Clemson in the bowl game.
got it. Sorry, got my numbers mixed up there. I think my point still stands though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't. The thing with Tim Banks is it was like every year we progressed a little bit on defense. I feel like every year we got better from 2021 to 2024. And 2024 was a really good defensive year, but looking back on it, was that was that defense good because of Banks or was it because of the roster? Because in my opinion, I think it was because of the roster. You had a really elite defensive roster last year, and I think having an elite roster is what matters most when it comes to being successful because it will having that elite roster will kind of make up for some of the shortcomings as a coach. But I just don't think Tim Banks can get it done without that.
Yeah,
And
but there's
you would
there's no
rather have.
reason there's no reason why you can't recruit these guys at this point. Though you should be having those guys consistently, right?
And I
So there's no
agree.
reason why you shouldn't have those, if not elite, great players or good players. But it just felt like this
Well, I
season.
think that's part of his downfall is he's not a good recruiter. Um,
Yeah,
and so we need to get a guy in here who's a good recruiter, but also has a good scheme. Uh, I'm not sure. We need one at least, but I think no matter who you get, if you get good players in, you're gonna be fine. I think that's
so
what matters most.
that kind of flows into our next point here. Top candidates. Obviously, my personal top candidate. I don't know if it's just yours as well. That would be Jim Knowles. I don't think that's a legit name that's being thrown around right now as a potential actual someone we're going after. He's obviously Ohio State's former DC. He's currently with Penn State. I'm not sure if he's going to be retained on that staff or not.
I
They would
don't
be
think he is.
okay. I don't know where he's going then if he doesn't have a job, but he left Ohio State, the national championship team last season, to go to Penn State this season. They offered him more money to go there. I think he's probably one of the best defensive coordinators in the game right now. And if I were Tennessee, that's who I would be going after.
My
Uh,
only thing with Jim Knowles, from what I've heard, is he's a phenomenal coach, but it goes back to Banks, not the best recruiter, from what I've heard.
okay,
With Ohio State,
that's crazy because of how much talent they have,
well,
though.
with Ohio State, it's not him making like they have good
I
recruiters
get
at
it.
Ohio State. He's not the recruiter. He's
You
not.
have to you have to differentiate the talent from the coach, right? Like you were kind of saying, Banks needs elite talent. Does Jim Knowles also need elite talent? I'm not
I
sure.
I think Jim Knowles
I think
needs it
it
to an
helps.
extent. Every
It
coach
helps with
needs
every
elite
coach.
talent.
Yeah.
He would be an upgrade from Banks though, like by far.
Oh,
Like if
hands down.
with the talent, if you're like coaching with the same talent, Jim Knowles is going to be a better coach. Um, but I don't know if he's a great recruiter. I think it'd be a good hire.
Is he your
I
top
don't think
prospect right
that's
now, or no?
I don't think
Who's your
that's the
top?
direction. My thing is I don't know a lot. Like I don't watch a lot of other teams outside of the SEC, so I don't know really who the best defensive coordinators are. What I'm looking for specifically with a defensive coordinator for Tennessee is something that meshes well with Josh Heupel because I think
Right.
we don't need to just go out and get a good defensive coordinator just because they're a good defensive coordinator. We need to
Yeah.
find a defensive coordinator who complements Josh Heupel offensively, and I think that's a
So
big
is that
reason.
Walters from Washington?
I think
Yep.
that's why we're
Yeah.
targeting him is because they've worked together
They have.
before. Uh, Walters has coached a defense with Heupel. Like I don't know if he was the defensive coordinator when Heupel was the offensive coordinator,
At Missouri, I'm pretty
but he
sure
did he
it
did
was.
work on the defense, so he knows how to handle. He's like worked with the up tempo offenses
The
before,
offensive system. Yeah,
and
which is
just
very important.
well, and also I just think looking at Walters's defensive play style, I think his scheme fits a much better than Banks does with Heupel because Banks, to me, it seems like a lot of his scheming is zone, and it's kind of just a bend don't break, just kind of you just
Yeah.
and
And what was best with our defense? It was being aggressive and blitzing, and it feels like he hardly did that, or it feels like he'd pick and choose the games to do that. And the games he did do that, were wildly more successful than the
and
games he
just
did it.
and third and first downs were horrible. We it was
Yeah,
like It was bad. Or it would be if you had a good first down stop, you would do really bad on third down, or you would just
Yeah,
let them do really good on first down, and then they just keep getting first downs really quickly. Or I don't know. It was just frustrating because it would be the defense would just stay on the field the whole game,
yeah,
and it's just you
right.
can't. It's bad for two reasons, because a your defense is on the field for so long, and your offense scores quick. So your defense
Right.
is on the field the whole game, and they're getting exhausted, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. But not only that, when they're on the field for a lot longer, Heupel Heupel is a great offensive caller, but he needs rhythm,
You
and
need to
if
show them.
and his quarterbacks need rhythm, and if they're sitting on the sideline for so long, they get out of that rhythm, and I think that's been a
Yeah.
problem. They just can't get into the rhythm because they're not getting the ball.
Yeah.
That
No,
happened
that's
in the
that's a
Vanderbilt game.
great point.
That was
Yeah, that's a
really a
great
big
point.
problem
Yep.
in the Vanderbilt game.
Yep. No, that's a great point. I agree with that, and I think maybe that's why you go target your boy, over there.
Well,
And I
and
was
the thing with Walters too is his defense is very man oriented, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like they either it's like a beat them or get beat kind of thing. I feel like
it's a big play or bust.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
think that works out better
that works better.
because
Hmm.
it's like you would rather them the other team score
If
fast,
they're gonna score, we'd rather them score fast,
but
right? I
but
think that logic checks out.
and that's the one nervous thing I have with his defense though is he needs
He could give
really
up a
good
lot of
corners.
points.
He needs
Yeah,
really good corners. When he
I
has the good corners, his defense is really good. But you
I've
look at
mentioned
his
this
time
to
at
you.
Purdue. Look at
Okay,
his time at Purdue. He didn't have good corners, and his defense was bad. But
but it's
at
Purdue.
Washington, he had good corners. Illinois, allegedly, from what I've heard, is he had a lot of really good talent at Illinois. Like he had a
Um,
top 5 draft pick. Um,
if you saw their defensive numbers, which is what I was actually getting ready to bring up, they were top 30 nationally ranked defense both the years he was there, is what I saw. Which is pretty hopeful. I think we can acquire more talent than Illinois can. So,
well, I think the most points Washington had scored on them this year was 26 points. I would
yeah,
have killed for that this year. I
yeah,
would have
right.
killed for that. Like we didn't have the only SEC team to score less than 30 points on us was Florida.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
only one.
that's not acceptable. And yeah, what Walters, I mean, at Ohio State against Ohio State, I think Washington only gave up 24. Their offense just wasn't able to get anything
Yeah,
done.
and that was just on
Uh,
their offense. 26 holding Ohio State 26 points is really good,
24.
or 24 or whatever.
Yeah.
Either way.
Um. So yeah, I mean, kind of get into some candidates we would not like to see or we don't think it's going to happen. I'll kind of start us off here with a little Will Muschamp action. Uh, and you mentioned before the show James Madison's DC.
Yeah, I've been hearing some stuff where he's kind of, from what I've heard, Ryan Walters is the go-to guy, the guy they're looking at, and then I don't know because I it's not my sources or anything, but just the stuff I've watched. I tend to trust this guy a lot because I mean he's been in the scene for a while, and so I assume he's got good sources. His kind of ear is telling him from what he's heard is James Madison's defensive coordinators is kind of been on the hot list too for the coaching staff.
So
And
much,
I just
yeah.
don't know much about him, but apparently he was at Georgia before.
And then a couple jokes here. I saw some pretty funny Jeremy Pruitt stuff. Uh, Mark Stoops stuff. It's just funny. I don't know. Those were just jokes, but
Yeah, there's
those were pretty
also
funny, though.
there's a some people who think they would promote William Inge, but the thing with that, I don't think that's happening. I think Austin Price, a guy really close to, he's a big in the Tennessee sports media, said he doesn't see that happening. Really, the whole media side of it's really been just
Two
the main.
guys, one or two guys, one
Ryan
guy.
Walters really
Ryan Walters
the
is it.
main
Yeah,
that's been put out
and that
there.
was the fans have brought up Will Muschamp and stuff. I
Yeah, those are all
I
just,
understand.
and the
I
fans don't
understand
have
Will
any idea who they're
Muschamp.
going to put
No,
there.
I understand Will Muschamp from the point of intensity, different, a completely different
Well, he's
style.
also available. I think that's kind of just what it is. He's available.
But why is he available? I mentioned this
Um,
to you. He hasn't been at DC for a while.
I think a lot. I mean, I think if Will Muschamp wanted a job, he'd have a job. Like if he had, I think. Here's my thing right now. From what I've seen, is he. There was a post where he made. Uh, he was talking about this is the first time in so and so amount of years that I've got to spend Thanksgiving with my family. His kids playing in high school football right now. I think he's really just. It's like it's one of the things. If he wanted to, he could have a job in the G5 or uh, in the FCS if he wanted to. I think it's just he hasn't got like right
He
now
doesn't
he's
need it.
he's got
Yeah.
so much money he doesn't need to. If the
Yeah.
right job comes along, I think he would take it. But right now he's fine with being an analyst at Georgia and just watching his kids play high school football.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on the whole Will Muschamp
No,
theory
I'm
as
not
anything
saying we should
legit,
hire him. I'm just saying
and I'm also gonna pass on. Yeah, I don't want Muschamp.
I don't think saying that he doesn't have a job right now is necessarily the most accurate way to frame it though because I
I
think
get
if he
it. He
wanted a
just
job
hasn't
he'd have
worked.
one.
He just hasn't worked out at a lot of spots though. You can't argue that either though. I mean, he just hasn't worked out
I
at
think he'd be
Florida.
an
He didn't work
upgrade
out at
from
South
Banks
Carolina.
though, personally.
Potentially, I just don't think there's no way it's gonna happen in my opinion.
No. There's not a single media member who's that's
It
all
that is
fan
literally a
speculation.
fan, which I don't know why, but yeah, I mean,
Right now to
I
me
don't know.
it's Ryan Walters and if he says no, I think that's where it's the Tennessee coaching staff is just not sure. I think maybe that JMU guy, but I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of defensive names out there, but I
You've
just want
got to
them to
hit
make
though.
the right
Yeah,
fit hire. I don't
yeah,
necessarily need a flashy name. I don't think Ryan Walters is necessarily a flashy name. I think Jim Knowles is the flashy name. It would be a good hire.
yeah.
But Ryan Walters is just I think what makes the most sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like it, I agree. It doesn't have to be a flashy name, but you have to hit
Yeah,
because
if the defense sucks next year,
you,
it's going to
yeah,
come back on this hire.
yep. So you have to hit because it's the difference between us winning a couple more games this year, most likely, and it could be huge difference next year winning some games
Oh,
based on that schedule.
and we need a coach who can evaluate portal talent too. That's if we can hit the portal hard on the defensive side,
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine.
So actually, what I've been seeing, kind of just mentioned on that, I actually have been seeing a lot of analysts talking about how actually high school recruiting is bigger than it probably ever has been now, at least in the past 10 years, based on the talent in the portal level is actually kind of diminishing as the years have gone on. We saw it peak probably a couple seasons ago, but I've actually seen a lot of analysts talk about how just based on contracts now, because actually a lot of schools are actually contracting these players out now. Uh,
It's harder to get them to
it's
leave.
actually harder to get them to leave. Yeah, before it was just like anything can get them to
Literally
leave.
the
But yeah,
best you could get the best player off of some random team.
now you're getting like 3 stars off of a G5 school. That
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
this is more. It's more of a G5 free agency more than ever, more than it is a power conference
well, and if we're
transfer
rating the
portal
transfer,
5 star. Like Caleb Downs. Remember Caleb Downs from Alabama, right? Safety at Alabama hits the portal, goes to Ohio State. He's one of the best players in the country that not a lot of people talk about. Safety there. Um, he's he's a guy that you're probably never going to see again in the portal. As not him specifically,
you think is
but
Jermon McCoy
talent
though?
wise.
What about Jermon McCoy or
Yeah. So those guys are young at a smaller. Technically, Oregon State was G5 or independent this past couple of years. So yeah, that's a guy from a that was a freshman that was young. But what you're not going to see is a sophomore established player from Alabama go to Ohio State. You're not going to see that as much anymore. Is
mm-hmm.
I think the point I'm trying to make here. So yeah, you are gonna have to evaluate talent in the portal, and you really need somebody who can do that and go get somebody. But it's going to be similar to high school recruiting in the fact that these guys aren't going to be super polished or super established. You're going to have to do that yourself because I don't think you're going to see these guys come out and make $8 million anymore.
Yeah.
Not
Well, and
as often.
that's good. Why that the actual coaching is going to be
Yep.
important too.
That
I
goes back
think
to your
both are
point. Yeah,
very
it does.
important though,
Yeah, I agree.
and
Both are
I
important. I
think
just
when it
want to mention the portal has kind of changed this specifically this past season.
well, I think when it comes down to it, I think the talent side matters more because you get somebody like Banks who is a mid to below mid coach, but has one really great defense because he's got really great defensive players. But at a place like Tennessee, if you have the good coach and you're getting the good talent in, it's going to be great. So that's
Yeah.
we just need to make a good hire because we're going to be set because we can get good players.
Yeah.
We just need the good coach. Um,
I agree.
so I think just from everything I've seen, I think Ryan Walters would be a great coach. One other thing about Ryan Walters too, that would be good. I like William Inge as our linebacker coach, but Ryan Walters would probably bring Brian Odom, who is the brother of Barry Odom, um,
Okay.
as a linebackers coach, and he'd be a great coach. He's actually I think been a defensive coordinator before, so a very experienced linebacker coach. So that'd be a good addition on top of Ryan Walters if we made that move. Um,
Yeah.
but right now, I think that's the best case scenario hire. I'm hoping if that doesn't go through, that they look farther than the JMU coach. Not saying the JMU coach would be bad. I just don't know enough about him. Uh, he's only been a
Yeah.
defensive coordinator for 1 year
Mm.
at JMU. So it just kind of makes me a little hesitant on that one. I will say he did come from Georgia. And so he was probably like an assistant coach at Georgia. So I'm sure he's good, probably a good coach, but I don't want to experiment with that. I'd rather go with a proven
Yeah.
Power
That's what you
Five
need.
defensive coordinator personally.
Yeah. You don't want to take a risk in this scenario. I agree with that. But yeah, with that, we'd like to thank you all for tuning into this one. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this thing out. Tim Banks is gone. Let's make a good hire and let's get ready for the 2026 season. Shout out to our friends at Skylots.
Let's
Thank
beat
you all for sending
Illinois.
us some LED signs. And yeah, let's beat Illinois. Catch y'all on the next one.
Peace.